Hey, we are live. We are live, guys. We being I, not we, because Pablo is under the weather again. So prayers out to him. He's been battling it and kind of just was getting worse. Thought he was getting better, and then all of a sudden it took a turn. And so yeah, he went to the doctor today to get some stuff, and he's hoping that's gonna turn around here quick. He said he might pop in if he was feeling up for it, but we won't hold him to it either way. It has been a busy week here. Man, just keeping busy. What is up? Go Man Go, Racing Case 87, Corey McKenzie, Laura Nudd. So I got a bunch of new stuff back in stock. Not even new stuff, just a bunch of stuff back in stock that I've been waiting for, which I'm super pumped about. Some of it has been a while. And so, yeah, we got hundreds of the brass axles back in stock. These ones look super clean. I had more of them on the last batch come back saying that they were having fitment issues. And so I kind of let them know that I wasn't happy with the quality of the last ones. And I've checked a bunch of these ones, and everything about them just looks better, from the cut to the actual coating, the black coating, even the logo on the diff covers on this particular batch. I've been looking through at the light, trying to make sure that the cuts were going straight through, and everything has looked super spot on every single one I've checked. So I'm super excited about that, because it's never fun to have an issue with them when you're trying to install. You just want to get them. You've waited for them to get to you. They come in, you tear everything apart, take all the time, and then bam, it's a headache. And I feel for you. I had one set that was tough. I was able to get it to fit without doing any drilling or whatever. But it was really tricky to get them in there to line up the bearing and everything. So these ones, hopefully, I'm going to try one out here probably later tonight and just test fitment, because I got in stuff that I want to test out. More SCX24 bearings. Sorry, more CCXRC bearings for the Axial SCX24. I just got to get used to saying things in the proper order. So we have these in for people that want to swap out the metal shielded ones to rubber ones, if that's what you prefer. And so we've got these finally back in stock. And yeah, got a bunch of these in, more of the brass wheels, bunch of stuff came in, screw kits, even for other brands that had been ordered, ended up coming in. I'm not sure where I'm going to put those. They'll probably just end up on eBay. So anybody that's looking for any of the T-word stuff that I have, that's where I've been putting it all. Just as a safety for my own site at this point, even with the new page up and stuff. I just don't feel like, most of the other companies. In fact, I talked with some of the other companies, and I'm looking to work on having some stuff made for the FMS lineup, and also looking at stuff for the Rock Van and the Trail Hunter and all of that, the Hobby Plus stuff. So I'll be looking at doing some aftermarket parts for those and getting those made. So already in talks about that, and most of them sound like they're really excited about that. So it's just different. Like when you don't feel like you could do something wrong and, have the hammer come down, versus the people that are excited about it. So, yeah, I just don't want to put myself in a position at this point to to have those issues. So there are, I ended up getting to the 25T splined servo horns for the other 18 scale, that the T word, and so we'll have those available on eBay for people that want to run other servos and still have a nice servo horn that fits up properly with um, the centered steering bar. It's not link, I guess, the one single link of the steering that they have is pretty cool. So anyway, it's just I know that there's a sheet up. I can play by the rules if I want. I just don't want to have any opportunity at this point. We'll reassess later down the road, but for the time being, it's just easier to not run the risk. So, um, yeah, sorry to hear Pablo's not well. Yeah, I was bummed. Is Losi coming out with anything new? I haven't heard. I so I shouldn't be looking at new RCs. Um, but I was looking at a new RC and I noticed that the Losi side by sides are completely back ordered already from Horizon. So they did well enough, it looks like, in selling them. And maybe that's just to shops and shops have them in their inventory and they're not selling there. But I mean, from all that I can tell, it seems like the inventory went out pretty well. I'm really intrigued by that RC. Um, I know Reckner up here in Michigan, he was just showing his off at the sand dunes, and it looked pretty rad. So, hey, there's Pablo. He got karma for what he was doing in the racing scene this past weekend. I can't wait till he can come on and talk about it. So, yeah. So bearings, we've got the axles. Somebody's asking what the price is on them. They're 70 bucks for a set. And if you buy just single fronts, they're $37.99. So it ends up being a little bit more, but front axles are usually typically more anyway. So, yeah, it's just how it works with them. So it's a little bit more. It's not much more, a couple bucks more if you want to do. But a lot of times people already have one and they just want to buy another for a rear steer, and then that works out for them. So I sell them as singles, but in doing singles, I sell them at a different price. All right, Nick B, what's up? Big Head says better safe than sorry. Jeff Walter may need to order more of those black brass axle sets. Yes, if you keep doing the heavy die cast builds and cool builds that you're doing, that extra weight down low, I'm sure helps out. We'll talk a little bit. I got a bunch of packages in. This isn't what I thought it was. I have to find one of them. I hope Tom Baker shows up today. I need him to call me. I sent him a message with my phone number. So I'm trying to work out something with him and something he sent me back to look at. Did I miss it? Any plans to make FMS parts? Yes, I did just mention that. There are plans to make some FMS parts. Also some for the AX24 that are more designated for it. But I'm actually leaning. I really want to get some FMS parts going, and also Hobby Plus. So those are the two that I think. I think they're solid vehicles, and I think that aftermarket extra stuff for them will help. I just saw that now. Somebody was doing FMS overdrive gears, which is going to be a huge thing for that and making that more competitive. And the more that we can just kind of push these other platforms forward alongside all the ones out there, it just gives them that extra hand that they need up in being able to be upgraded beyond where they are, because they're pretty good already. Like out of the box, I like the Trail Hunter a lot. It's bigger. I'm still a fan of the 24 scale size. Everything aside, everything that happened aside, I still prefer I would have preferred and did prefer the Axial STX 24 still the best out of anything that's come out because of the size. So that's just my personal opinion. Everybody can have their own. I just think the 18 scale is that much bigger, and it changes things for me. So there's just something about the size of these tiny little SCX 24s that you gotta love them. I just can't help it. So, I mean, we've got we've got other things here too. One of them I was going to talk about was this guy. Oh, we can open this up and take a look at it. I had to. Kyosho does such a good job with their bodies and everything, and I'm a sucker for D90s. And the price was right; they came down on them. But what I was just going to do is say, I just can't get enough of these things. Yeah, I can't help myself. There's something about them, and I even think like this is more my scale anyway too. Like the size of it is right on for me. So yeah, the smaller size just it does something for me. This here is a cool package. We'll take a quick look at. What do you guys think? Now, do you mind or even notice the difference in size, or do you think it's so minimal that it's not that it's negligible, or what are your thoughts on that? Because um, I just don't reach for the 18th scale ones as much as I do the 24 scale. And I like the 18 scale ones, but for some reason they don't have that same place in my heart. Oh, check this out. New banner. Oh, okay. Sticker in here. And then a little package. These little black envelopes are my favorite. Oh, snap. Anybody other than Jeff Makovich know what this is? I am excited about that. A few more little parts here. Also, look at that. That might be a little giveaway. But what's that little tab for, do you think? Oops. Max Smasher upgrade chassis from Black Market RC. BM RC FCX24 Smasher chassis. It does look like a little bottle opener on that one there, doesn't it? Oh. I was talking more this upper. That's where the body clip, it looks like, would clip in on those. Super cool. This is going to get built one day. I need to just hammer down and do it. This stuff doesn't take as long as I make it seem like it will in my head. And then the other times it takes longer than you think it's going to. And you think you're just going to change out one screw and then the head strips on it. And then you got to figure out how to fix it. But no, super excited about that. Corey McKenzie says size matters when you build a course. 18 scale just doesn't fit or just don't fit on the 24th line sometimes. It's only a bit wider. It's the bodies that feel so much bigger to me. So, yeah. At Ease RC, man, I've been listening to you a lot. I've been listening to you. I'm just going to say it. I should sneak peek you guys. I will. I'll sneak peek you guys. What I've been why you have not heard from me. It's not because I'm like sulking and hiding out from everything that went on. That's not at all what happened. I am way, way, way in the middle of a big, big edit. Lots of editing here. So many pieces going on, and the timeline just keeps going. So, this USTE video currently is turning out more like a documentary in the way that it's gonna gonna be played out. And so I still have a whole bunch more of this dialogue stuff that I've thrown to the sides here that I want to use. And if I use all of the ones that I've set aside, it's at about 35 minutes long. So I know that these are going to be duplicates, and I haven't even finished going through all of her interview. Um, there's so many. There's other interviews I haven't gotten to. So yeah, it's. I haven't gone through the whole GCM interview, and I have RC Car Action still, Scale Rat. I haven't even gone through the full interviews with. I've gone through them and I've put markers on them, but I haven't actually dropped stuff in to the timeline yet. So it's a massive, massive project right now. And Nick Barber's in here, but I haven't dropped all the sound bites of his that I want to use yet either. So there's it's gonna be huge. So I hope that everybody's gonna enjoy it and have popcorn when it finally does release, because you're gonna need to have a drink ready and popcorn ready, because it's not just gonna be a quick 8-minute and done type overview. It gets into like there's breakaway scenes. I don't want to give you all of everything that's going on, but the ebb and flow of it, kind of the storytelling wise, is definitely different. And so it pops in from little live action stuff that's happening in the moment to interviews. Then it cuts to like pre everything and shows there's some kind of vocal segue that ties into like going back and like showing some of the build process of it all. And it's pretty crazy. It's a huge puzzle to orchestrate and pull together everything. But yeah, it's gonna be big. So that's your teaser. I'm not gonna play any of it in order. You just get the scrub through. The quick scrub. It's also tearing up my computer as far as hard drive space with all of it. Is meant for the SCX 25. Does it say the SCX 25? That's funny. That's just a typo. Bull Gear, what's up, man? Dana Surrett, what's going on? Jeff. Lots of people popping in here. So yeah, that's kind of the puzzle that I'm working in. Make stuff better. Do I edit with DaVinci? I have edited with DaVinci. Typically, I edit in Final Cut Pro, and then I'll usually export to DaVinci if I want to color correct in it. But yeah, I typically work in the workflow in Final Cut Pro is so fast that I haven't been able to edit in anything nearly as fast as I do in Final Cut Pro. The way that you can drop stuff into timelines and build non-destructively. It once I learned it, it was unreal how fast and how powerful it was for what it seemingly is very simplistic. They've got a whole lot going on behind the scenes that just make it so fast to edit in, which is when you're working on a big project like this is very helpful. Ghost, I have not heard anything about Marlon. I just found out when I saw the thing about the canceled. For those that may not have seen it, Marlon Cox from Showtime RC in Richmond, Virginia, that does the monster truck racing there. Awesome events, Showtime Motorsports. is in the hospital and had to have some kind of emergency surgery or something, it sounded like. So I haven't heard anything recently in the uh last few hours. So I hope what James RC Garage is saying isn't correct, but I have not heard. I just know that he was in the hospital and he needed they needed prayers. So um but I haven't heard anything. I haven't been on in the last hour or so, couple hours actually. But yeah, they just had a major announcement that he was in the hospital for medical emergency, which had an immediate need for surgery. Um, so yeah, that's all that I've heard. Trying to quickly see if there's anything here, and that's still the latest that I'm seeing on it. I'd be interested in your workflow in FC Pro if you wanted to make a video on it. I did a live stream showing what my process was. One of the best parts is the how it ingests media, and while it's ingesting media, you're actually able to be editing it. So if you're trying to do quick turnaround stuff, which is what I'm usually trying to do for YouTube, I literally come down after, I might film something outside if I use my phone, whatever. Um, I come down and I expect to edit it right then and get it uploaded that same day. And so other workflows just aren't as fast, and I couldn't do the daily video um, workload because it was just too exhausting. And so, but Final Cut's always allowed me to do it. I'd switched over because we used Premiere for work and other things, and I bought myself Premiere or a PC instead of a Mac because it was cheaper and more powerful. And it just I couldn't get stuff done, and I ended up just going and buying a Mac and going back to Final Cut so I could get stuff done. Even after a year trying to run it, it just couldn't get it fast enough. The workflow is not as good. So a lot of people hated on it when it first came out. It was pretty trash when they changed over from Final Cut 7 to Final Cut X. It was missing a whole bunch of features. It was like stepping backwards. But once they added those features that were missing, uh, I mean, shoot, the workflow is unbelievable. So, yeah. He brought snacks for this. How many SD drives did I use at USCE? I was going through these quite regularly. These are the Sony Tough series ones. They're 128, and I usually run two in the camera at a time. And we had three cameras. So the big Sony I was using, I usually filled up both cards on it. It's a massive folder. It's over a terabyte of footage for the weekend. So it's pretty crazy because some of it was really long stuff. Like the interviews were long takes, and that really tears up the storage doing 4K on the FS5. What's coming new from Arma? Do anyone know? I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious what's coming from them. It's been probably one. Excuse me. What's the last thing that they did? Was it the TLR Typhon? Is that the last new release? Like big new release? They did the fire team. Did the fire team come after the Typhon? So I think it did. Because I didn't make it to Horizon RC Fest last year. It was the year before that when I got the Typhon. Then it was after that that the fire team came. Is the fire team the last like new thing that they've had? I'm so lost on this the timeline of things coming out these days. I know they did the latest thing is probably their new series that they do, the two-wheel drive that you can upgrade. That might be the latest boost lineup thing is that they've done. Oh, Infraction Mega. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're due. I haven't heard anything, but I mean, I kind of feel like they're due for something after that boost lineup because I think that was the last thing was the boost. Farm Boy RC. Speaking of, so he says he has something he'd like to show and maybe talk about it's related to SCX24 truck pulling. Yeah. Send it to my Facebook, the Tony CCXRC one is my account. It's probably the best way. What's going on, Crazy Joe? Yeah, if you send it there, we'll try and pull it up. I did want to say that HackFab now does have their 24 scale pull sled, like the one I have, listed, and it's like $100 less than I paid for the prototype, which is pretty awesome. So it's like $320 for their 24 scale pull sled. I think it's a pretty good deal, honestly, for something like that. There's still a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in making that, especially in small quantities. That I don't feel like scaling up or down changes the price a whole lot. Maybe a little bit in material, but it's going to offset because of smaller market. But I think that I think it's $320. I'll try and pull it up here for the HackFab 24 scale is not a bad deal. I posted it to my profile here. Just grab the link. Actually, we'll just show this. Stop screen. We're going to present this, show you guys. So if you guys are interested, this is the production run of it. It says that you can actually do this from 12-ish to 17-ish feet. So there's options whether you're doing 24 scale or 18 scale. And so you have options on how far it'll pull. I'm curious how that's adjusted and if mine will do that same, if it has that same adjustment option, because that would be pretty cool to be able to change that. But yeah, straight up same design, pretty fantastic little platform. And I wish it had a little bit more of an angle on the front there and then went up straight, had one more little bend to deflect a little, because the way that they pull and how low everything is, I feel like that front and that big bolt drives that front corner into the ground, which makes it harder for the less capable trucks to pull anything. But yeah, I mean, if they did that, I guess if they angled it, then that would put that even higher and make it dig still. So that's not really a good remedy for that. But that sharp corner like that does definitely dig in if you're running dirt and can catch stuff, which is really hard for the little trucks to overcome. On carpet, things like that that are super smooth, you can pull a whole lot more. You're going to burn up a lot more because your tires aren't going to slide at the end and slip, and motor burnup potential goes up a little bit, I think, there. But they're pretty cool. So people were asking about these, asking where I got mine. This is where you can get them now. It is the JS Chassis Works design that I'm running for mine, and it's pretty cool. I potentially could get a second one to have a second sled. So if we ever wanted to do something with them, we could do two. So we'll see. Crazy Joe carpet boo. Right? The only way to really do a carpet would be to like do an astroturf and put like the powder in it or whatever, the little rubber thing, or to make it act more like dirt and be a little forgiving. But yeah. So the link for it has it for $325. I don't know what shipping or any of that's going to be. They have some pre-production versions of it that were for sale that you could buy. I don't know if they're still available. So they were talking about selling those, and I don't know if they already sold or not. It was definitely the most fun on dirt. So yeah. So yeah, Addie's RC two softer bends closer together would appear to be better and keep them out high. Yeah. So that's all I was saying with it, was trying to find a way to have that little bit of relief on that corner, because we could hardly get it. Like, it would have been fun to have stock trucks. They couldn't even pull like the empty sled. So like it just negates even having like a stock class, because they're all going to basically pull, nothing. They wouldn't even get it started. So we pull Tonkos backwards with weight uphill. Nice. You guys do some of the most fun pulling stuff, Joe. Crazy Joe. That's the kind of pulling, when I got my pull sled, that I wanted to do. I didn't want like perfectly groomed, any of that stuff. Like, everybody's at the same disadvantage. Here's the crappy spot we've got to run them. It's a little bit easier with 10th scale to do that because they've got quite a bit more power, and can overcome the like little rocks and pebbles and stuff. The 24 scale, it's really hard. I mean, I guess you could do it with almost no weight in them, but we were pulling at one point. I don't know if Go Man Go's still in here. What were we pulling total? Is it 7 pounds ish with those little trucks? So Farm Boy, yeah, the Mofo RC Buzzsaw is awesome for SCX24 pulling. Over 8 with the sled. Okay. So yeah, so decent weight for a little a little 24 scale truck. Then you start going 6x6 and all that, and they'll pull even more, I'm sure. So it's definitely something cool. What was I going to show? Oh, I have one other thing. I got this in. So this is my weekend project right here for the 18th scale axial, the 14th scale, 18th scale axial Capra. So this is the Furatech cage that they make for it out of titanium. It's super light, super lightweight. I'm thinking these are titanium panels, so these would be fun to heat up and try and colorize. So, but yeah, they do for the cost that they get these out at, they're really clean. I'm sure like some of the guys that we have, like I know Mike Bufka and them that do like the monster truck ones that are just absolutely insane, um, do better than this. The cost is definitely much higher for what they're doing with them, but I'm pretty impressed with what they do for the cost. I'll give you got the light bar mounts up here. They're talking about making these for the SCX 24. Yeah, I'm not super sold on that, but I do like this. I like the rock bouncer ones too, the Hiroyama style. If I was going to do one for an SCX 24, I kind of like that. What is the price on this one? You know, I'm saying their prices are pretty good. I'm going based on the little ones being $100. So for the 18th scale, it is $149 for the titanium cage. It's super light. So yeah, these are yellow titanium panels. I'm wondering if we could heat them and colorize them or how that works. I don't know enough about titanium. If so, I'm all about that. So these are the raw titanium, and then these are yellow titanium. And I don't know if that color stuff still works with that. Maybe some of you guys know because you're more metal guys than me. Yeah, for the cost, it's hard to believe it's real titanium. It, it changes color with heat, but other than that, I don't know. It's super light though. See, like there's little things like there's like a little overcut on the top panel here, right there. But again, these are going to get beat up and dinged up. I'm not too worried about it. If you're going with all the metal on the outside like that. Yeah, the Angry Sparrow. They were trying to get two beat downs that week when they announced it as the Angry Bird. I'm like, I'm not sure I'd call it that. And then they came back with the Angry Sparrow, and I'm like, all right, I think you might be safe there. So yeah, Jeff Walter thought it looked like brass sheet panels. Yeah, it's yellow. RC Amigos, not sure how they do that. That's a steel. Yeah, Taiwanesium. I have no idea. JMRCs might see it reaction Thursday. Don't know yet. Cool. I think we're going to be there. Pretty sure. Yeah, feel better, Pablo, man. If you're heading out, I might have missed it. Ghost, a cage for the mini monster trucks would be pretty awesome. It would be. It makes things a little bit harder to get in and work on, I'll be honest. So I have one right here actually. I took my favorite wheels and tires off of here. My brass wheels with the scramblers on it to test. Somebody wanted to test with the faster Hiroyama. And but yeah, so these cages are super cool until you have to put the battery in and connect the cables. And at that point, you hate life every time you have to swap batteries and charge it. So I do the bad thing, and I usually leave the battery strapped in and unplug the balance lead and just plug it into a cheapy wall charger with the balance port. And I think the CCXRC lipo bags are big enough to slide this whole thing in now, so I could just put the whole thing in a lipo bag and pray all goes well. But yeah, these ones are fun, but they're wide, so we can't really comp them very well because our gates are so narrow for SCX24 width axles that this thing does terrible in comparison as far as turning radius, width for gates, no overdrive. The list goes on when you compare it to how you can build out, say, this mean brassed out truck, all brass down low, and they turn way better. And overdrive the front, they steer like pretty good. So, but they have a special place in my heart for my backyard cars. That's where they're the most fun, when I can set my own gates and keep them wide for the 18 scalers. When am I going to finish up that meaned out? I'm going to finish that up now because I have bearings again. CCXRC bearings for the axial SCX24 are now back in stock, not SCX24 bearings. So I'm just getting into the habit of saying things in the proper order these days. You mean full metal cage, not just chassis or just plates to simulate that look, but a full-on tube chassis, and not like the rock bouncer one in the monster truck section. Yeah, it would be cool if they did it. It's just a matter of what truck do they build it for. I guess for the Smasher, but the bodies for that really wouldn't work with the cage well. So then you got to have bodies, and then who makes the body that they build the cage for, so that you could run the cage with a body. There's a lot of what ifs, I think, that they need answered, or or they'd have to create bodies too. So there's just, everybody's doing things different sizes and different whatever. I feel like the Smasher at this point has the best overall like market right now because of it being ready to run, and they have that upgrade motor that does pretty good, easy to slap in there, 2-speed. The hard bodies are awesome, so making a cage for that would be, then people are going to have to cut their bodies to allow the cage to come through the back end of the truck, and there's a whole lot of things. Or they're going to build it for a truck. Yeah, it gets pretty tricky, because if they want to sell them, there has to be other aftermarket support for it, and you have to know which system to get behind. Now, that said, Knight's Customs just was showing their 3D printed ones for the Knight Customs monster truck chassis for the TRX4M, using that platform for axles, shocks, transmission, motor, all that. And so they have a pretty cool tube looking chassis, but it's 3D printed. So if you went that route, now the problem is there's not a lot of body options for the TRX4M yet, especially Lexan bodies. So unless somebody's going to come to market with that stuff, it's kind of stuck. So yeah, let me see what you all are saying, because I'm probably missing something here. Oh, Marlin Crawler death. Oh, different Marlin. James RC Garage. You're talking about the Marlin Crawler, like the RC 4-wheel drive Marlin. Yes, he did pass away. We're talking about Marlon Cox from Showtime Motorsports, who runs. They had to cancel their or postpone their spring season of RC monster truck racings because he wound up in the hospital unexpectedly, and a whole bunch of stuff just kind of went bad. So, um, yeah, sorry, misunderstood each other. But you scared me half to death, so thank you for that. I thought you're talking about my buddy Marlin. It's easy to reconnect a battery wire to the plug, Tony. Well, it is and it isn't. When you have to do it inside of here, especially if it's running the ultimate and you have to try and get it into the side of the ESC down fed through here and plug it in around all this stuff, and you're handling all this stuff, it's really hard to get it in there. So that's why I started carrying the plug adapters that they have that do give it this little pigtail, so that you can kind of reach in here and have an easier connect. But even getting the Velcro in here, I just strap my batteries to the top, because trying to do it where they have it to do down here, two reasons is problematic. They should have had a stop that came up here, like run these metal pieces further and then bent them up so your battery wouldn't come forward and ride on this drive shaft here and potentially start a fire. Because it's really hard to tighten the batteries down in this tight space on top of this, which is where they say to put it. So I just put my battery up on the top here, and I just where I can easily wrap around it and pull it tight, and it won't end up getting rubbed on the drive shaft and start a lipo fire that I don't want to deal with. So that's the thing with cages. That's a little problematic, but for how cool they look, I deal with it. The Velcro strap is actually on the other one, which probably actually has a battery strapped in it still, hanging on the wall. Am I that guy? Am I that bad? I think I took it out. I can't tell from here. But yeah. So anyway, I was waiting for bearings because I already have drive shafts, and I've got oodles of gear, like worm gears and overdrive gears to put in here. All I needed was bearings to be able to just finish this up. So now that I have my bearing kits finally came in, I'll be able to just finish it. In fact, there's an overdrive set sitting right there. So it's almost there. Motor's on, receiver's on, ESC is on. Stick a servo in, finish up the axles, and she's good to go. David Ferris, and that's the one thing I was going to get at. If people really wanted to build a caged monster truck, would you want to go that scale and then stick it on portals if you went the route of the Smasher? That's why I brought up quickly and kind of changed gears over to the TRX 4M cage that I saw being made, which I think, if I were to build something for the 18th 24 scale monster trucks right now, as much as it pains me to say it, I would say the TRX 4M is the perfect platform as a starting base for it. In fact, that's what I told Knight Custom when he asked me what I would build it on. They're, they freewheel. They've got multiple options for the transmission. It comes with oil-filled shocks. It checks all the boxes for a great starting point for a monster truck. The axle size is actually good because it would be a 24 scale size, in my opinion, axle for a monster truck. For a crawler, it's an 18th scale. For a monster truck, that would be like a 24 scale to me. Like, you'd still want to do small bodies on that in a smaller cage. So I felt like that was one of the problems with some of the 24 scales, is they weren't wide enough, and that fixes that. and you don't have to do super wide offset wheels and all that. So, um, anyway, so if I were to build one, that's what I'd build it for. And I guess you could still build your cage to be 24 scale ish, because that's what these technically, I guess, would be on top of something like these 18 scale axles width wise are the same width as the TRX4 M1s. So, yeah, that's what I would do. What's going on, Joe from Exo Caged RC? CCXRC can come to market with some. So my biggest problem with making the Lexian bodies is getting a buck or a mold made. So, and I know Harley's telling me that I should do Harley Designs. Josh is saying I should do Bondo. I've never worked with Bondo, and so it's kind of scares me a little. I just need somebody that works with Bondo to give me a quick, here's what you should do. I've watched videos and stuff, and I still just don't feel comfortable just jumping in and doing it. So, but it seems like that would be the way to go over, especially over plaster of Paris or anything like that plaster that I was using. So I'd build an initial mold, even if you 3D print it, whatever. Then you can make a buck. Then you can sand it if you do plaster, whatever. Then make another mold, couple vacuums on that, and then you could use Bondo or something to make something a little bit more rigid that would last better and longer. So the problem is they start to break down and wear down and all this stuff, and it's just a pain to keep going back and making new molds. And they're not the quality of what J Concepts or anybody else is putting out. Like if I really wanted to do it, I needed to learn 3D design the bodies and the whole buck system for removing it, and send it away to have it made out of aluminum. Probably would be the best bet. So that's expensive, and then to sell enough of them to make back your cost of all of that is tough. And so that's why I haven't. I would love to. I wish I could. I wish I knew how to design better. Farm boy. It comes to V1 electronics, I don't care about taking out the batteries. When it comes to V2, I take the battery out. I always unplug them. I always do, because even the V1s will drain your battery beyond what they should be drained. So they won't actually, if you use a good charger, they won't want to actually charge them because they'll say the cells are too low, or it'll only read one cell. And then you have to like bump charge it either from the stock charger or as a NIM battery. And when that's small, things can get out of hand pretty quick. So Vart custom RCs. Yes, I did know that. I put them there. The wall hangers are on Thingiverse. If people have printers, like the thing is for people to be able to use them. I only sell them for the people that don't have a 3D printer but want to use them. So, and I mean, by the time I do the screw kits and all that with them, I not really making much on them with shipping and everything. So, it's really just to get them off the walls or off the desks, which I still have them all over my desk for some reason, and get them up on the wall, which I've got them all over in here. I'm actually looking for new places to put hangers to hang more trucks. What? Poop words in your mouth. Bucks are easy, man. Just do it. Well, I have to have the model first. So I have to design the truck first and then start doing the buck. But Crazy Joe, I should make the trip up this year for Tough Truck. Man, that would be awesome. I haven't been to Canada in a bit. It's about time I come up again. I was just listening to the GCM guys talking those as I'm editing the USTE long form. video that I'm working on here. But I also, even if I have the bucks, it's a pain in the butt to make them. Honestly, I don't find any joy going out and making the stuff with the and it's not even Lexan, it's the PETG with the little former I have. So they're not as strong as Lexan at all and will crack if not treated well by monster trucking with them. Yeah, Tanker T68, his tough truck comps look freaking awesome. Like, that's my kind of competition stuff. Just go for it. Alex, what's on, man? What's up, man? XJ Sport 95 in the house. We're here. Hey, Ed. Oh, Ed, if you bring him in, we'll do a video on the builds. You got to bring him up. Ed does some of the craziest SCX24 builds. They're so cool. We already had one video where we highlighted his when we went up for a crawl and just had to show them because they were just so wicked. Yeah, I mean, the tough truck stuff with the mud and the tug of wars, pulling, I mean, so much fun. Just got a bit of service. Alex, are you in the middle of nowhere now, man? I just got all my parts in for the Raminator, so I'm getting ready to also work on that this weekend. I need to get that up and running. We are having great weather here. Well, we were. So I got that Gammy RC cage on, the one that looks like what is it? The Fat Girl chassis. Like Tim Cameron had. He did one that was kind of styled after that and kind of has a little bit of the looks of that. And he said it to me, it was raw, like gray painted, and I took it up to JD powder coating here just up the road from me and had him sandblast it and then powder coat it lime green. Looks amazing. And put that together. I'm now waiting on new sway bars for the rear because the Vidavon ones don't fit around that cage the way that it was designed. So, but yeah, I'm ready to rip that thing through some mud and a whole bunch of stuff. Go nuts with it. I need to take it to Walter RC Park and run it on the Purgatory course that they have there. So yeah. Hey Tony, come to Texas, bro. I was supposed to come to Texas next month. It got canceled. Super bummed. David Ferris, Vidavon or Triel axles for my LMT. If you ever want to go for steer and you don't want to have to buy a whole nother axle, go with Triel. If you want easy fitment for the diffs and just they're beautiful. The Vidavon ones are beautiful. So the way that the Vidavon axles work are like how the AR 44. What are the ones on the Wraith? AR 44 axles. But the way that you strap in the diff is different. So you actually strap the diff to that front plate so you can marry it with that ring and pinion, the ring gear on the diff to the pinion gear. And you can make sure it's married and has good mesh before you stick it in. It's completely together as a unit. When you do either the stock LMT axles or you do the Triel ones, you put the diff in and then your pinion gears in that plate, and then you screw it down, and then like you get weird binding and weird stuff. So with my Trio ones, I had to loosen the screws to back that plate off because if I over tightened it, the mesh was just awful, and I couldn't get it to shim right. So I just literally unscrewed them. But with the Vidavon, you knew before you put that thing in how smooth everything was, and I love that the way that they designed that, um, where that whole front part of that third member um, holds all of that before you even put it into the axle. Love it. It's awesome. So AR60s, thank you. I thought 44 was too small. Didn't sound right. That's the 1.9 Wraith. But yes, so the thing with the Vidavon is the rear axle is completely solid to the ends. You can't change um the fittings to become a 4 steer setup. And you're locked in at that positive 3 degrees, I think, as well, or whatever it is. But that doesn't bother me because it tracks so good with that I leave mine that way anyway. My axles, how the stock ones come. Some people like to zero them out. But I felt like they actually tracked better and straighter with the positive camber or toe. So that's what I would say. You can lose speed, but they're already so overpowered and overly fast, and you're not going for speed runs to get like top speed. So that little bit of inward push, all it really does is help keep it straight, especially when those front ends get up in the air. And yeah. But yeah, Air 60. Thank you. Has anybody that ordered the new FMS, have they started arriving yet? I know the Shop Mini RC has one. I think they look super cool. But again, the hard bodies and all that for the super scale guys is awesome. Although it's not super duper scale, it fits the part in my opinion. They don't ship till next month. Okay. But again, that's why I want to start doing some of the aftermarket stuff for the FMS line is to combat some of that upper weight. So I'm working with some people on some different brass parts for it. Farmer, see, my brother has the orange one coming. That's the one that I like. I think the orange one looks wicked. Farm Boy RC already have parts in for it. Nice. I want that body to do like a Mad Dog monster truck. Do the yellow and white, like old school Mad Dog monster truck. Get it on a smasher. That would be really cool. And he says he can help with FMS. All right. Body available at Fair RC. I did see that. I was in touch with some people at Fair RC today. Some cool stuff coming. Lots of new little things coming out these days. It's pretty cool to see. The body with all the scale parts like $65. Not terrible. Racing Case 87. I know that some T10s are discontinued, but what is your opinion on them? There's one new in the box on Marketplace near me. I honestly found them, if you're just racing them and you're not trying to go out and do huge freestyle, whatever, to be pretty tough. I would not recommend buying the SMT10 unless you can find the HD spiral cut gears for the axles. That's like a must. Vanquish used to have some HD gears too. So if you don't see ones from Axial, check out Vanquish. The AR60 stuff is getting so hard to find that if you could buy those HD gears to have it, because the stock ones aren't going to last. They're going to start clicking like a weekend. If you really put power to it and you go brushless, it's not going to last. But other than that, I ran stock shocks on most of mine. You could run stock links. We usually went to metal ones just for the extra beating it would take. But getting J Concepts wheels isn't a problem. You know, most of it's aftermarket you're going to get. Now, you either would want to get metal axles for it if you're going to go crazy, or I just put beef tubes in them. And once beef tubes were in, problem solved. So I kept plastic axles on almost all of my SMT10s with beef tubes in them, and the HD diff gears, and that was about it. Like brushless system and super fun. But at adding all of those prices up, if you're going to do that, you're at about the price of getting a LMT. So, and they don't handle nearly as good as an LMT. So that would be, if you're not planning to do all that extra stuff. I mean, I've got one new in the box up on my shelf upstairs to turn into a mud truck, which I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do. But I have a Gravedigger up there, and I have the purple Kingsling body already done up for it. So I was going to do the purple Kingsling on the green chassis with the chrome wheels. But yeah, there people still race them. The guys that were good with them, man, they're still good with them. And yeah, I think the biggest problem is going to be keeping up with part support. So like I have a brand new Warpath chassis up there, which I'm bumming about, because like if I turn it into a race truck still, like I can still build it, but parts are going to be running out for it over time. So unless you have a bunch of stuff, just, which I do, I mean, I guess I have a whole like big fishing tackle box with the multiple pull out thing full, just stock, chock full of all kinds of gears, everything, bearings, you name it. There's probably 10 of them in that box for them. So I have enough that I could keep them running for a while, but yeah, that's always the question mark. Mud truck this weekend's build. JMRCs, you know if anyone's selling a LMT? No, I don't actually. I probably should be selling one. I've got the Kingsling, the Bog Hog, still brand new in the box. I've got an LMT roller that is still a roller. I've got a Gravedigger, Son of a Digger, the original POS Son of a Digger. I call it the POS SUD. The original from the video shoot. And I think I've got another Gravedigger. And I have the race kit down here to finish. I should probably look into getting rid of a few. But I have some of them that are for stock classes. So I have to have them stock for racing. And people's opinions on stock are different. And so what was stock for one race class was not for another. And so I literally had to order one in for that race to have a box stock. And I just traded out the body to a little bit, the 30th anniversary one, because I'd put Vidavon axles on, which some people just thought wasn't a performance upgrade. It was literally a durability upgrade. It wasn't changing gears. It wasn't, but yeah, it all depends who you talk to on what's been upgraded and what's not, what stock. David Ferris just put the mega links on the Son of a Digger LMT. Very cool. See you, Crazy Joe. Yeah, I mean, I got to get mine out because we're going to start doing the freestyle challenges. The weather's looking good. In fact, we just floated our dock out this past week. Last Friday, I think I went out with the boys. It was good weather, and the water was still really high from the flooding. And so my thought was, if we can get the dock out while the water's high, we can pretty much just push it straight in from our yard and not tear it up. Otherwise, we had to like take it over into the neighbor's yard and go down a driveway and in and float it down. And it's going to be a lot more work. So we floated it in. It was super cold in the river, by the way. It was really cold. And then we just staked it in place and tied it to a tree. And then today, when the water receded, we could see it wasn't in the right spot because we set it up so that our gangway covers this pipe that looks awful. That's just sticking out of the side of the bank there. And so we had to move it upstream. So we had to pull the pipes up, take that rope that was tying it off, just pull ourselves upstream a little bit, and then restake it in. But we get our boat Thursday, so that's pretty cool. But weather's looking good. That was the whole point of that story. So that's the most roundabout weather's looking good story you're going to get. And we're going to be doing more monster trucking. So I'm probably going to break one and then just keep breaking them until I don't have any more to run, then have to fix them all up and then just keep breaking them and then fix them all up. That's kind of how I roll. That's why I have to have a few. Speaking of raffle, there will be a giveaway coming. Got to work out the details on that. It'll come with some new announcement that's coming. So that's pretty cool. So you'll have to watch for the details on that. Also, just a big thank you again to everybody that supported during the past 2 weeks. It's been really great. A lot of work for me, but super thankful for the community. Pretty awesome. Weather had been great here, but of course, our comp crawl this Saturday is going to be like 32 to 35 degrees in the morning. Ouch. So that's what I was going to say. So after we did the stuff this weekend, it snowed on Monday. And it was supposed to be, I thought, bad all week. It showed rain today, whatever. It kind of rained a little in the morning, a little spit. But then it was like sunny and 60, something like that. It was nice today. And then the day we're supposed to get our boat was supposed to be like thunderstorms and all that. Now we're looking at 20% chance of rain and going to be 70 or something. So much better forecast. Addicted RC finally picking up LMT this week. I should have bought one 20 times already. Yeah. They're pretty cool. They're special. I need to get out and race more. That's the thing that's killing me. I'm really missing it. I've broken 10 LMT front drive shafts where the pin for the hex adapter goes through the shaft. Just bought some 8mm Vidavon shafts that fix this problem with the stock 6mm shock shafts. Okay. You said drive shafts at the top. 10 front drive shafts? You mean shock shafts? I know some people pull out the shock shafts. Oh, with the stock shaft. It doesn't say shock. The stock shafts. Man, I don't know what you're doing. I've had zero issue with anything drivetrain related on an LMT, and I've beat mine to death. So if you're talking like the actual front plastic drive shaft, those are some of the beefiest drive shafts. Like the actual plastic drive shafts are the ones inside the axles. Like they're huge. Like we've said forever that they're like indestructible. The steel shaft, wow. That doesn't make sense at all. Or the pin for the exit after. I'm gonna look up the Vidavon drive shaft. Huh. Well, I know the plastic ones were fantastic for me for the main drive shaft, and the actual inner axle drive shafts are beefcake for anything like this. There's nothing that's been built like this for us. Yeah, the axle shaft near the wheel hub. I still don't get it. I mean, they're huge. Hmm. I'm trying to look. So if these are what I'm guessing you're talking about here, and these are some of the beefiest axle shafts. I mean, they're just massive and they're metal. So I'm guessing it's right here where this pin is. Are you running like 6S or something on it? I mean, I run on 3S. That's all I've ever run on mine, except for the LMT. I've run 4S, and even then, I'm not hammering it down. But yeah, I mean, I remember remarking at how like these looked insane. Like we'd never break them because when we were coming from dog bones and other stuff, like this was one of the biggest upgrades we could have gotten for a solid axle. The other thing that were the best, other than that, would have been the Revo ones that we were using in the Freestyle RC axles. Those things are pretty bulletproof. But I don't know. I mean, you keep saying winter, but I mean, it doesn't make metal that much more brittle, I don't think. would winter affect metal that much? Anyway, that's crazy, man. I hope the Vidavon ones. I know Trio makes like a hardened steel one. Um, I hope that takes care of it. Oh, so I guess you could have like a brittle fracture from it being cold or something. I guess it depends how cold it gets. I mean, I don't run mine in once it gets cold here, it starts snowing, and I don't really run mine out in that. So, but yeah, the cold would make it brittle. I don't know if hopefully the other ones will be more durable, but that just might be a problem. But even still, it would seem like you'd have to be on power when landing for that kind of torque on it to break it. Wow, 7 LMTs, very cool, Maryland. Yeah, man, it's possible. I guess I haven't driven it in that kind of cold. We do it in winter, but it was in Virginia when we'd run in the winter, and it was lovely then. You see the new 800 LP servo from Reef. I did just see that today. It looks really cool. There, Ned. Yes, I think you mentioned earlier that the blue bearings say SCX25. I'm in the middle of this. I can't fix it right now, so I will take care of it. It's just a typo. I changed it to say CCXRC this for the, and I probably in changing the title um, messed it up. So it's very possible. But thank you. I thought I'd acknowledged earlier. I might have just done it in my head. That happens to me a lot. So it's not about that as much as me kind of passive aggressively throwing a middle finger to everybody for saying how um, it we should know how to do this and we should do it, and then looking at other sites, their sites, and they have stuff listed wrong. Um, so uh, they didn't necessarily for Traxxas, but for everything else, which isn't necessarily putting forward a good role model for everybody else, I guess. So I figured even though these companies aren't coming after me for it, I might as well do it the right way so that people understand for when they do Traxxas ones, if they just see you doing it for Axial and they just think that that's how you post things. So yeah, it's a bit of a passive aggressive middle finger is what it is for that. But yeah, so I've slowly been doing that to all the posts that I have. I haven't done it to all of them yet, but I'm slowly trying to convert them. So, um, anything else? Otherwise, I'll end this shortly and get to working on stuff because I got a bunch of builds to finish, and I have the one still of the chassis we're working on design. I still haven't been able to put it together and do any tests on it yet. So I have some 3D printing of my own to do for how I think I want a few of the pieces to be, and then we'll go from there. But yeah. And nothing else. All right. Well, we've been going an hour and a half. Pablo, I hope you feel better, man. And yeah, keep taking that medicine, and hopefully it'll get you on the right track. Um, at EaseRC, yes, I did. I didn't mention more, but the new 800 LP servo from Reef. Quickly take a look at that because it looked pretty cool. Let's see, where can I find it? I don't think it's on his website yet. I think on Facebook. There we go. Pull it up here in the back. Where is it? I'm doing like my old man searching skills these days. Not the super fast internet guy I used to be. I know that Josh mentioned it on the Scale News. Maybe on Instagram. I've kind of been under. Yeah, here it is. So this is a great addition for the SCX Pro. As far as sizing goes, shorty, it's a raw 800, small and powerful. It's their low profile raw 800. I think we may see those in more than just the SCX Pro, but that's just me. I love the raw. So it looks like it's not running like external power. It's just going to run off of your receiver. So that is something I like. But yeah. Ed, man, I need to come up fishing. We're dying to catch some fish. We've been out hitting the river here and not catching anything. Might have to take you up on that. That's a big bonus, says Jeremy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of just not having to think about extra batteries for my servos. I don't run anything comp enough to really worry about it. So I would rather not have to worry about it. I would just like to plug in my batteries and go and have the speed and power at my disposal. So yeah. Yeah, Ed, we'll have to find out. We'll have to chat. I know my son's dying to get some fish on the line. He's out there every night just casting. Kind of rearrange some of the rocks at the shoreline, hoping to get, smallmouth all up in it and all that, get crayfish and whatnot. So, yeah, he's got big dreams of fishing. That's for sure. So now that the spring and summer is coming, it's all he's thinking about. For his birthday, he got 2 new poles. He got the Mock Smash, both the spin caster and the bait caster. So he's super excited to get them out and get a fish on them. He's had them out. He's lost lures with them already, caught up and stuff, but he hasn't caught anything. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in as always. Hope you guys have fun RCing. Catch you next time.